Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of DFA Talk. Now today, the topic is poetry starts from impossibility rather than possibility. This is a saying by Oscar Wilde, and what would you say, what would I say when I look at this saying? I feel like this is a very question, this is a very good sentence because it seems to be suggesting what poetry is supposed to be pointing at, or like what poetry is supposed to be originating from. And apparently Oscar Wilde seems suggesting that poetry is something that could only be created, that could only be derived from impossibility. What is impossibility really? From my point of view, I feel like impossibility is something that's closely linked with the concrete reality. For example, everything that's happening around you every day, around us every day, could be say possibility because it's possible, it's happening, it's a fact, it's reality. However, impossibility in this concept suggesting something like at least all the things that are not actually happening in this very moment, in this very place. For example, I'm drinking some water at this moment, but this is concrete reality, so this is a possibility. But maybe when I'm drinking the water, I'm thinking about, hey, is there any water on Mars? Is there any water-based life creature on other planet in the universe? Or for example, is there I'm maybe as I'm drinking this water, I'm rethinking something that happened in the past. I remember last time I drink the water from the mountain. It's really tasty, and that time I was with all my close friends and families and so on, and those are the memories. So as you can see, anything that's not happening at this place and anything that's not happening at this very moment could be classified as impossibility. Or like, because why is it impossible? Because in my personal life, I feel like at least in my life, there's probably no chance at all for me to go to the outer space and see actual other living creatures in the universe. And not to mention in my life, I probably won't have the opportunity to actually go back in my memory, to actually go back in the timeline, in no matter what forms. There's no way I can do that in my life. So all of these are beyond the reality I'm living in. All of these are beyond my ability. So those are the impossibility, and that's where poetry kicks in. I feel like that's what Oscar Wilde suggests. I feel like this is very true actually. It is precisely because sometimes we are trapped, we are stuck, we are abandoned in this soul reality. And sometimes the reality is good, sometimes the reality we could live with, but sometimes the reality can be draining. Sometimes the reality can be painful. Sometimes at least the reality could be boring. We are bored to the bone. So that's where poetry are created. We need something to get us out of the things that are actually happening every day. We need something to rescue us from the mundane reality. We need something to save us, to fly us to the moon compared to the normal life we are living every day. So that's what impossibility suggests when it comes to poetry. I feel like this is very true as well because that's what poetry is for. Personally, I know there's some poetry that are dedicated to portray the actual reality to the very much as detailed as possible, and that's cool. I think those kind of poetry have its value, but to me personally, the best form of poetry I like is also the kind of form that are as far stretched from the reality we are living in as possible. I like those type of poetry precisely because of this reason as well. We need something to get me out of the sea, to get me to the other end of the tunnel, to get me to the other half of the sea, to get me to the other planet in the universe. That's what poetry are for, and that's what I think this saying is meaning. Okay, that's today's episode of DFA Talk. If you'd like to see me making those type of content, please subscribe. Please comment in the comment section. If you'd like to see me discussing any questions, your question might appear in the next episode. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching for today's episode of DFA Talk.